Hello, art adventurers! Today we're going to make bubbles on black paper with colored pencils. So you need the following colored pencils: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and white. And we're going to start off with our white. So we're going to make 3 bubbles. Move these over here. So you want black construction paper. And you also want to make sure you have an eraser. A kneaded eraser is best, but if you need to, you can also just use an eraser on the back of a pencil. So let's get started. So first you're going to pencil in your bubbles with white colored pencil. And you're going to make a circle. Now, if you can't make a perfect circle, you can sort of trace it with something. Maybe a can, or probably a can. A can would work, like a can of vegetables or something. And then you do have to make 2 smaller bubbles. And if you don't have a can, then you can just do your best. Okay. I'm going to fix this one here. And I just keep taking a look back to see if I like the circle, if it's, yeah, I like that. Okay, so now we have our 3 circles drawn. Our next step is we're now going to go over each circle with darker white, their white colored pencil. So I'm going to press down a bit more and really emphasize that line. And you're going to do that to all 3. If you notice, what I'm doing is I'm correcting my bubble as I go, because I found that I like having it a little bigger on that one. And take your time. I'm going a little fast, but this may take you a bit more time. You want to make sure that you stay on the line that you drew, and that it's nice and, well, in this case, nice and bright against black paper. I want to make sure it's really bright, so I'm going to go over this circle again. And then if you notice, some of my lines are showing in the bubbles, so I'm going to erase those. Some on the outside, so I want to erase those. The only thing I want showing pretty much is the white pencil that I'm starting with here. I'm going to go back here, make this more white. So you may have to go back twice, maybe even 3 times, to get your line nice and bright. And this is where you have to sort of take your time to stay on the line. Okay, so I'm going around and just cleaning up where I have a little bit of the pencil outside of the line. It's a little more difficult to erase on black paper, but just take your time. Oh, I see one right here. Here we go. And so then I want to go back. Make sure that that's nice and white. I want this one to be a little more white too. Okay. So now that we have those white, you're now going to color inside the bubble all around to make your line thicker. And if you have to rotate your paper around in order to do that, you can. So again, we're making it, well, a little thicker than the line. Maybe almost like we add 2 lines to it. Again, take your time. So you're going to do the same thing to each of the 3 bubbles. And you want to make sure that your lines are crisp, that they're not sloppy, you know, they don't have little sort of little lines coming out of the line that you're working on. So for instance, not like that. If you have that, you want to clean it up a bit. Again, just make sure that that line is nice and crisp. And if you like, you can sort of draw a very thin line all around inside the bubble to help you so that the line doesn't get all kind of wonky, and then you have to keep coloring and making it thicker. So now you just want to look at each bubble and make sure that the lines are nice and bright and they're clean, not outside of the lines or inside. I'm just going to make these a little bit darker or brighter. Okay, so once we have that, we're now going to start with the little square type shapes that are inside bubbles to make it look like bubbles. So we sort of almost start off doing a square and then round off the bottom. I'm going to make at least 2 for each one. One on either side. right, so you've all seen these in bubbles. Okay, so they're starting to look like bubbles. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. You do want your lines a bit intense. So I keep using the term darker, but I guess it's really brighter since we're doing it on black paper. Okay. So now we have our 3 bubbles, and they have a nice thick round interior or circle around them. Fixing this one a little bit here now that I'm looking at it. And now we're going to start off with our colors. So we're going to start off with some blue. And what you're going to do is you're going to create colors, sections of colors, very thin sections with the colored pencil. Basically, we want the black to show for most of each of the bubbles, because what we're trying to do is make it look transparent. So I'm using my blue first. And sometimes I go a little thicker. So in this instance, I went a little thicker. So while I have my blue, I'm going to be doing all 3 bubbles at once. So maybe that one only has 2 blue sections. This one I'm going to outline the little sort of squarey type shapes. If you notice, what I'm doing is I'm making, maybe we'll go back and have one more here. So I was saying I'm making very thin strokes, and then maybe I add to it. And I'm going over the colored pencil a little more so that you can see it. So that's my black. Now I want to grab, or I'm sorry, that's my blue. Now I want to grab the orange. And what you're going to do is go inside. And you can even go right over the blue, your orange. And you're just coloring inside the bubble where the white is. Or next to the white, I should say. See how that really brightens that. You're going to do the same thing on all 3 bubbles. Now this line, if you notice, is thin, but you can make it a little thicker in sections. But the first thing I want to do is I just want to make sure that it's nice and vibrant inside each of the bubbles. And again, I'm going a bit faster since I've done this before, but you want to take your time. You want to keep your lines nice and neat. I can fix this one. Okay, so they're starting to look like bubbles. Okay, so now we used our orange, our blue, and our white. We're now going to add yellow. So again, now we're going to start adding a little bit more thicker shapes. To our bubbles. I love the colors, how the colors start to really pop on these. I'm going to add one more yellow here. Maybe a little here. Outline this one. Okay. Now I'm going to add my green. And so it's looking very colorful. And you're basically going to be doing sort of little shapes that make it still look like it's a round bubble. And if you notice, we're staying along the edge of each bubble. So now that we've done that, we want to create a bit of sparkle. Almost like a sparkle star like this. Each one. And we do that with our white. Should have said that earlier. And that's just the way the light is hitting on the bubble. Okay, now that we have that, we're now going to do a bit of shading with our white. So now we're taking our white and we're going to shade right where we colored or replaced the different colors. And now you're just going to shade a little bit each one, just a little. If you notice, we're keeping the middle black. We're trying to make it look like a bubble, so a circle. So there's some parts of the bubble that are a little darker in value, right? So we're doing that with our white pencil. So see, I'm getting really light with the white here. And then, once I've done that, I sort of want to add little darker white sections. And I'm even going to make those parts, those shapes that I had you draw, a little bit darker. Okay. So the final step is adding some red. So now what you want to do is add a little bit thicker of a shape. And again, we're still going near the edge. And what we're trying to do is just create a lot of color inside the bubble. So I'm actually going over a little bit of the orange right there. So move on to the next bubble. And again, I'm going up against the white and then expanding my red a little bit. To be a bit thicker. And I'm doing that in all three bubbles. So when you're making your curved lines, these curved sort of shapes, you want to make sure you're not going too thick in the middle of each of your shapes, like right here. And you're trying to keep your shape curving in the shape of the bubble, sort of following the shape of the bubble, because you want it to look realistic, like the bubble is round. Looking pretty good. So now you just want to take your white pencil and just do some light shading around the edge, almost like a halo around each bubble, just really light. Just doing some shading around it. And also inside each of the bubbles, you want to add some dots. And if you want, you can add some texture with your white colored pencil around each bubble. Like so. And voila, you have colorful bubbles. So I can't wait to see your bubbles. This one was a shorter tutorial. So you can make as many bubbles as you like. If you want to make more than 3, you can. So you can practice more bubbles, or just stick with the 3 that we have. You can even make a gigantic bubble if you want to make one big gigantic bubble. That's fine too. But take a picture, send it in to our private Facebook group or my email, artista72@yahoo.com. And I'm excited to see your bubbles on black paper. So thank you so much.